a conversation on thriving in the workplace. And we have some interesting guests at hand to discuss that topic. You've come to the right place if you're interested in knowing how to thrive in the workplace. So, first, I would like to introduce the brain behind the Present Right Academy. The Present Right Academy is an academy for public speaking targeted at women. And I'll be introducing our lead facilitator, Coach Adiola Babatunde. She comes with 14 years cognate experience in the oil and gas industry. Over the past 7 years, she's trained over 2,000 women, and she has a passion for seeing women come to their full potentials. One of the ways she is working towards achieving this is the Present Right Academy. Coach Adiola Babatunde, you're welcome. Coach, can
Thank you
you
so
hear?
much. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so, so much. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome, welcome, welcome to the live show that we've put together for you. Welcome to the Impact Conversations. And it is such a beautiful evening to be hanging out with you all. Thank you all so much for coming. Today is going to be a beautiful day where we are going to be discussing thriving in the workplace. But before we talk about thriving in the workplace, I want to talk a bit about public speaking because this is what has brought us here. Before I jump into that, I want to say thank you, Omar, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you to our speaker who's going to be joining us shortly. Right? Now, like I said, before we jump right in, I want to talk a little bit about public speaking, which is one of the reasons we are on this platform. Now, a lot of people or some people struggle with public speaking because they worry about what people will say about them. They worry about how they come across. They worry about forgetting their lines. There's so many things that we worry about. However, it is important to note that at a certain level, as a person in the workplace, at a certain level, you would have to put all those worries aside and do the public speaking. Because at a certain level, you can no longer hide. At a certain level, you have to interact with customers, clients, staff, external clients, internal clients. You have to interact with a lot of different people and you can no longer hide. So even though those things are uncomfortable, even though you worry about forgetting your lines, how you look, you have to find a way to still rise above all of those feelings. And this is one of the things that we help you with in the academy. In Presenters Academy, we help you learn all the things you need to know to rise above all of those feelings and deliver with confidence. And PSR, Practice Speak Repeat, is one of our major flagship programs that we have and that we use to help women practice their speaking right from the comfort of your home. I'm always so happy to share that it is right from the comfort of your home. You don't have to leave your kids on Saturday or Sunday. You don't have to drive out of your house. You don't have to get in traffic. All you need to do is just sit right in front of your computer, practice your speaking, get feedback, and you get to improve week on week. So if you're watching us today and you want to improve your speaking, you know that you're getting to that position where you can no longer hide, then you need to get onto the PSR program, the Practice PPP program. Okay? And without further ado, our one and only special guest, who is a proud member of the Practice Speak Repeat, is coming today to show off. Yes, this is the show off. She's coming to show off all she has learned, and we are all super proud of her. Before she came, we were proud of her. When she speaks, we're proud of her. When she's done, we are still proud of her. And it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage today Ifoma Halim, our special guest. Hello, Ifoma. Good evening. Over to you, Ifoma. Thank you.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here. So, funny story. I had so many ambitions, so many ambitions as a child. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to be an IT engineer, an oil and gas lawyer, even an economist. Like, so random. I wanted to be an economist. But one
Okay, is his hand? Okay, she's back. Oma, can you hear her? Okay, you're muted. Oma, can you hear her?
No, I can't.
Okay. Okay, I think Ifoma is a bit frozen. I think she's frozen right now. But I liked what she was saying, the conversation she was having about how, yeah, I think she's going to join us back. So I love the conversation she was having about how she wanted to be an oil and gas engineer and how she wanted to be an economist. And it just took me back to those days when I wanted to be a doctor. But Jam won't let me be a doctor, the almighty Jam. Oma, what were your childhood dreams? Because I wrote Jam 3 times. I'm very proud to say it. I didn't pass it the first 2 times. All right, she's back. Okay, let's get her back on stage, and then I'll talk to you guys about my childhood dreams. All right, if you have the stage, please.
apologies about that.
No problem.
Okay, so where was I? I was telling you about my childhood dreams. Okay, so I wanted to be a fashion designer at a point. I wanted to be an IT engineer, an oil and gas lawyer, even an economist. But one passion stood the test of time, and that was my love for writing. I loved writing stories. I would spend hours as a child penning down stories in my exercise books, plural, and it was such an enjoyable time. Fast forward to present day, and I actually tell stories for a living, but I tell stories for brands as a communications professional. My name is Ifoma Halim, and I am the brand and communications manager of a leading technology company here in Nigeria. And while my career has had its highs and its lows, definitely, I will attest to that. One thing stays true, and it is that I have learned practical tips on how to thrive in the workplace. Not yet an expert, but I'll be sharing a few tips on how you too can thrive as well. The very first is to know yourself. And at that point, let me tell you a story about a woman fondly called Mama. Mama was the proprietress of my secondary school back in the day. Her name was Mrs. Fowler, but we called her Mama. She was strict, but she was kind and she was very motherly. Every opportunity she got, she would tell us to stare at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves the pertinent question, who am I? Who am I? What are my values? What do I like to do? Where do I see myself going? All those and more. Back then, we were teenagers, so we could care less. We didn't really understand the importance of what she was sharing with us. But in present day, I'm thankful that she took out the time to imbibe in us the importance of understanding ourselves. Knowing yourself is so important when making career decisions, whether you're starting out or you are furthering along in the journey. It helps you guide your path. It helps you know what to do, what to avoid, amongst the other things and more. Secondly, I will point to the power of relationships. There's an adage that says, together everyone achieves more. And this is so true when it comes to thriving in your career. The reason being, relationships they're like oil, they're like gold. Everyone is a step to your next level, a step to a resource that you will need in your career. So by all means, make sure that you leverage on the relationships that you have, whether they're colleagues, whether they're bosses, people that you identify as mentors, amongst others. Relationships are very, very important. And lastly, something I'm learning about thriving in the workplace is the importance of mastering courage. Mastering courage. I'll tell you a story. So I'm very introverted, as you may be able to guess, but I'm learning that if I want to take several steps ahead in my career, I have to be able to express myself. I have to be able to courageously and authentically show up in the workplace. And I'm so grateful for the lessons I have been learning at the Present Right Academy. I'm so grateful because I know as I implement them more and more, I'll be able to thrive even further in the workplace. So I'm encouraging you to do the same. Ensure that you master courage, even in the littlest of ways, whether it's conversations with loved ones, conversations in your social gatherings, wherever the case or the opportunity presents itself, I beg your pardon. Ensure that you take those opportunities to master the skill that is courage and see how it would help you thrive in the workplace. So in summary, thriving in the workplace can be done by knowing yourself, by leveraging the power of relationships, and thirdly, by becoming a master of courage. I look forward to hearing of how you were able to implement these tips and more as you further along your career journey and thrive in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you so, so
Questions?
Thank you so, so much. Do we have any questions for Ifoma? Anybody have any questions? Please type your questions in chat. And while they are typing their questions, Ifoma, I think you did excellently well. And I'm going to give you proof. Yes, I'm going to give you proof because you did a fantastic job. And one of the things I love about your presentation is the structure. You know, we always talk about structure. Yes. And I love the way that you put it together. You give us the first point, the second point, and the third. And I'm struggling not to like give you feedback on air. However, I love the last one that you talked about, mastering courage. And I think that is the reason that you're here today. You know, it's easy to say, I will do something, but actually doing that thing is where the real work is. So it's easy to say, I'm going to master courage, I'm going to show up and speak, but you actually showed up and you're speaking. Can we clap? I don't know if you can clap for you. I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how to do it. But I really just say, Ifoma, you're phenomenal. I really do think that you're phenomenal. I think that you are a genius writer. The first question I said I was going to ask you is how many books do you have? How many do you have so far?
That's a very interesting question. So I've actually lost count. I started collecting books from as far back as 6 years old, where my parents, who were very, very good parents, by the way, they would take me to bookstores to buy books. So while other kids were buying toys, I got toys, but I also got books. And over time, the collection has grown and grown and grown. So not just childhood books, or even
Yeah.
professional books, of course, African fiction, um, religious books. Yes, 'cause I'm a woman of faith, amongst other types of content. So, yes.
Excellent, excellent. Now to the second question. How many books have you written?
Very interesting question. Written and published.
Yes, and
So it's safe to
published.
say, I'm sure I've written maybe five off the top of my head, maybe
Wow.
five. But published for myself,
Mhm.
none yet. I plan to in the future, however. I definitely
Yeah.
plan to. I have had the opportunity of ghostwriting for some authors. So in a
Mm.
way, I've been able to express the author side of myself through people, vicariously through people. But I look
It's-
forward to the opportunity to actually publishing my own book sometime in the future. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was a very interesting question to ask because we need to see your name on your books. We need to call you author. You see.
Yes.
Excellent.
Someday.
Excellent. I want to dig a bit deeper into one of the points that you made, and that was relationships. And I want you to just go a bit further because I know that I also struggled with relationships when I just started out in business, in the workplace. You see, I thought it was about being very smart. Like, once you're very smart, once you do your work on time, once you just deliver, and everybody knows you're a star, you're fine. And as I began to grow, I started to notice that you needed to have certain alliances. You needed to, you know, kind of, because you're dealing with human beings. And it's easier when you're working with someone that you can talk to, you can have, a relationship with. What what practical experience have you had with building relationships at work? How has it helped you improve how has it helped you thrive in the workplace?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, and I could definitely relate to your point about over time understanding the value of said relationships, right, and how they thrive in the workplace. I'll give the example of certain mentors that I was able to identify, both in my previous workplace and even in my current workplace. So once I spot a woman who seems to be on top of her game, seems to know what she's doing, also seems to have like-minded values. I become very intentional about, drawing close to them, asking questions, and just trying to build a relationship. There's definitely room for growth in terms of intentionality. I think in the new year, especially in my current workplace, I would like to be a lot more intentional with, the relationships I'm building with said women. um, but yes, it just ties back to again the power of relationships and how it helps you thrive in the workplace. Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you. And Boss said Dekopoli is saying relationships are so vital at the workplace. Now I know. Now I know. I was telling you just before we got on the call how I had a training yesterday. I met some very powerful people. And immediately after the training, before I slept that same day, I sent a message to both of them to say hello, just want to connect because I know that that's where it all is at the end of the day. It's not in how great I was or how fantastic the training went. To keep up those to oil those relationships. Thank you so much. And I've talked about mastering courage. You said?
Do you mind if I share an additional example just came to mind actually? So I remember in a previous workplace there was a friendship I was able to build with a peer. She was maybe even a few years younger than her, so I wouldn't exactly look up to her like, oh, this is a possible mentor or whatnot. But years went by. She ended up working in an international organization, like I'm talking UN big, right? And she reached out to me. She remembered that I was really good at writing. And she said, hey, there's an opportunity for a freelance gig. Are you actually interested in this? And
Wow.
there again, another wonderful example of how, fostering a good relationship can actually pay off for you in your career. So I would
Yeah.
definitely point that out as well. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is so true. Thank you. That was a very practical example of relationships. I'm still going to get to mastering courage one more time, but before we go there, I love the mama, your proprietress. right?
Yes.
Proprietress, and just took me back to secondary school, thinking about my proprietress and how she was with us. But going back to your proprietress, you're saying she was asking you guys to look in the mirror and know who you are. So I want to better understand your point. So am I hearing you say for you to thrive in the workplace, you've got to know your personality, you've got to know yourself, you've got to know your weaknesses and your strengths so that you know what you're working on, what you're focusing on, you know what you're, basically you know that this is my weakness and so I have to cover up here. This is my strength, so I can push this one forward so that it's easier for you to navigate. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, exactly that. I'll give the anecdote of the likes of Michael Jackson. So imagine if Michael Jackson, with all his dancing talent, decided to go and work in a
Can
bank.
I contact?
It would be such a mismatch, and the
Yes.
world will never get to see, the amazing value that he has to offer, right? So I'm guessing that at some point in his life, he took time out to evaluate himself, his personality, his strengths. He had people in his life that could help him do the same. And then he was able to tap into that talent. He was able to develop that talent and, started thriving in his own career, in his own workspace. So it applies to us as well. It's so important that we know what we're good at, and try to nurture that so we can thrive in the workplace, even understand what your values are. And values may not necessarily be the stereotypical type. It may be, oh, I love to nurture people. I value nurturing people. So how about a career in that line of work, is amongst other things. So definitely worth considering. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. As you were talking, I remembered I saw a video on Instagram. There was a bank, right? It was in a bank hall, and a particular guy was just dancing, and he was really dancing, and he was dancing so well. But they were doing it, it was like the social media team of the bank trying to get the workers to do like a video for their social media page. Yes. And so people commented under that and said, this guy wanted to be a dancer, but his parents said he must do banking, he must do accounting, he must do accounting. Like, wrong business. So you should just take him out. Just remember that as we're talking. I thought that, yeah, that was true. So, yeah, we should know ourselves, know our strengths, and know, this is me. This is what I lead with. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing. The third one, mastery courage. I love the fact that you use the word master because it may not be something that comes to each of us naturally. So we do have to we do have to work at it, grow in it, and master courage to just do the next thing and the next thing and keep exposing ourselves to higher responsibility and opportunities. Like I was saying just before we got on the call, I stepped up to a higher responsibility and opportunity yesterday. I slipped, I fell, but I got back up. And that, just like you said, this is how you master courage by choosing to do those things that are hard and just saying, if a man can do it, I can do it, you know. And if a man, was there ever a time where you could never have been caught on a show like this? Like you could never.
Yes. Definitely so. I can think of times in the past where, because of presentation blunders or public speaking blunders, I told myself that any opportunity to speak in
Yeah.
public is just not for me at
Wow.
all. I will give the example of a very big client pitch that I had to make at an agency. In my mind, I had prepared really well. But when I got there, when I got to the client's office, I don't know if it was stage fright, I don't know if it was village people, but
Yeah.
I just forgot everything. And a few colleagues even laughed, laughed at me, and it was traumatic, But I'm thankful that my courage, is being tested, that skill is growing again, and with opportunities that are presented themselves, like Present Right Academies, DSR course, allowing me to practice, public speaking even more. I'm definitely seeing improvement in that line. So I'm looking forward to future opportunities to speak publicly, which would have been very rare for me in the
Wow.
past. Yeah.
Wow. That's so good. I can't wait for you to be on stages like what's that, Chimamanda, you know. Yes, I
Right?
see. Yeah, I do see you like that. Like you're talking about your books, talking about your writing, how you started, and where you are today. I can't wait. You just invite us. How that you invite us? You send
I
us the
will.
link.
I will. Front row seats.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ifoma. It's been amazing hanging out with you this evening, listening to your presentation and also getting to know more about your presentation through questions. So I will be handing over to the Queen of the North. She'll be rounding up for us. Queen of the North, do you have any questions for our special guests? I think you're muted.
It's
Okay, yeah.
not a question, actually. Ifoma, do you care to share your experience offering to stand in for your boss at a radio station?
Yes, yes, I would love to. I would love to share that. Okay, so this was a month or so ago at work. A radio interview opportunity presented itself, and it was supposed to be for a senior manager. Usually, um, I would stay away from such opportunities right off the bat. I wasn't glad that I asked for a senior manager, so I wouldn't be bothered. Unfortunately, many of the senior managers were unable to actually take that interview, and the opportunity presented itself. I remembered all that I had been learning in class about, courage, confidence, about seizing each opportunity that comes, seeing them as practice sessions. And I decided with great trepidation to actually take up the opportunity, and I didn't die. I actually did not die. The interview went well. It could have been a lot better, but I'm glad I did it because I could see myself implementing a lot of the learnings that I had been taking on in the past weeks. I could see myself also being bold, being courageous. And I have something to always look back on as an example of a time where I stepped forward even when I was afraid. So
Wow.
yes, thank you, Omar, for reminding me of.
Thank you for that. So, for you, would you say it was competence at play or just the mere fact that you had learned to show up?
Uh, hmm. I would say a balance of both competence and the ability to show up. And the reason being, with competence, as a communications professional, I understand um, certain things that have to be said about my brand, about the products that I am marketing at set time. I will also point to stepping up and stepping forward in addition, because fear could have told me to sit down, even with my competence, to sit down and not seize that opportunity. But being courageous made me actually take the leap, and I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. So yes, a combination of both competence and stepping out. Definitely water play. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So
Yeah.
what I heard you say is a blend of competence and then the willingness to show up. And that brings me back to the Practice, Speak, Repeat program. One of the things that we teach is the need to learn to show up. You might be competent and not be showing up, so people don't get to know about how competent you are. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to call it a wrap for tonight. Thank you for taking time to come out of your busy schedule. And thank you to our audience. It's been nice having you. Hopefully, this is one of the many more sessions to come, and we look forward to seeing you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.